Merry Christmas. Or more like Merry Friday before Christmas, but whatever, it's close enough. Christmas is my favorite holiday, okay? Like, I am that girl that starts getting excited for it in November because for me, it is a whole month of happiness, fun, and good vibes. Obviously, I love Christmas Day itself, but I also love everything leading up to it. The tree, the lights, the music, the food, and of course, the cartoons. My family and I have a list of Christmas cartoons that we watch every year, whether they're good or not. One of the cartoons in the not category that we always watch is The Year Without a Santa Claus. It's a classic, but it's also really boring. The one and only reason that I watch this movie every year is for the Miser Brothers. They are easily the best part. They just have fun personalities, and the song that they sing is an absolute banger. They really are the only reason that I suffer through this movie. Now, even though the rest of this movie is a snooze fest, there is a way to make it entertaining to watch. You just have to think about the plot and the logic of the characters for more than 5 seconds to realize how silly and hilarious it is. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's go through The Year Without a Santa Claus. Oh, also, my channel isn't for kids in the first place, but if there happen to be any children in the room while you are watching this, maybe wait till they're not around. I don't think I need to say any more than that. The movie begins with Mrs. Claus asking the audience if they've ever heard of the year Santa took a holiday. It happened a long time ago. Okay, but how long ago? Because right now, you look exactly the same as you did a long time ago when this all happened. Are Santa and Mrs. Claus immortal? Like, are they just old for forever? These are the questions that never crossed my mind as a kid. So Santa wakes up and starts spitting some bars about how he's sick.
Painting wagons red and bright, sharpening ice skates half the night, wrapping presents in ribbons and gauze, 'cause Ward be weary,
said Santa Claus.
They call a doctor for Santa, but he's a total Grinch. He says that Santa should just stay home this year. No one cares about Christmas anymore anyway, and he'd be surprised if anyone even still believed in him. Okay, it never makes any sense to me when in Christmas movies about Santa, the adults don't believe in him.
Do you believe in Santa Claus? At my age.
Where do you think the presents that magically appear in your home are coming from? Santa decides that since he has a cold, he's going to cancel Christmas, and he says that he deserves a holiday. No offense, Santa, but you go out one day a year. Do you really need a holiday? Also, at this point in the movie, Christmas is still a few weeks away. I think his cold will be gone by then. Santa doesn't seem to think so though, and has the elves tell the papers that he's staying home this year. This is when we get our first song in the movie, called, surprise surprise, The Year Without a Santa Claus.
A year without a Santa Claus.
I'm sure they won't miss me.
Santa, are you sure you're not just depressed? Mrs. Claus dresses up in a red suit and sings a song about how anyone can be Santa Claus. This song takes on a whole new meaning once you learn the truth about Santa. In her song, she says that no one will be able to tell the difference and she'll make sure that kids only see her from the back. I mean, that shouldn't be an issue because you're not even supposed to see Santa in the first place. She calls over 2 of the elves, Jingle and Jangle, to see what they think.
Well, boys, what do you think?
Okay, that was terrifying. Jingle and Jangle immediately recognize her as Mrs. Claus, so she's like, well, this won't work, time for plan B. So glad we wasted all that time on your Anyone Can Be Santa song. Her new plan is to have Jingle and Jangle go and find some examples of Christmas spirit to show Santa that people still care about him. Okay, but when they find these examples of Christmas spirit, how exactly are they supposed to show Santa? If they just tell him, he'll probably think that they're lying. So are they just supposed to kidnap people who believe in Santa and bring them to him? Mrs. Claus then sends them off on a baby reindeer, Vixen. She then goes to talk to Santa, who says that he's gotten used to staying in bed, and this is the life. You know, I'm starting to think that Santa isn't actually sick. To me, it just seems like he wants to stay in bed and do nothing all day. Santa can tell something is up with Mrs. Claus and asks what's going on. She says it's nothing, but then she sadly looks out the window and goes, poor Jingle. Poor Jangle. What are you on about, woman? Why are you like, oh, poor them? You're the one who sent them out there. And why is she acting like she sent them to their deaths when they're just looking for examples of Christmas spirit? She explains everything to Santa and he's pretty mad. Not only did she send them on a baby reindeer, but they'll have to pass through the Miser Brothers territory. Oh yeah, the Miser Brothers! If you somehow don't know these icons, Snow Miser controls all snowy weather, and Heat Miser controls all warm weather. They're also brothers who hate each other. Santa decides that he's going to go after the elves.
Do you think you ought to, dear, with your cold and all?
It seems like Mrs. Claus thinks he's a faker too. Then he goes outside and runs full speed to Dasher and takes off. I thought thought you were too sick to get around right now. I'm on to you, Claus. Meanwhile, Jingle, Jangle, and Vixen are heading straight for the Miser brothers. Heat Miser sees them and rages about how he hates Santa and his crew because they give cold weather a good image. He decides that he should try and murder them. Vixen saves them and goes in for an emergency landing in Southtown, USA. They decide to look around for some Christmas spirit here, but it's harder than they thought. Not only that, but since Southtown is so hot, and Vixen is used to the cold, she's developed a fever. They just got here. How did she get a fever so quickly? They leave Vixen under a tree while they go ask some kids if they believe in Santa. One of these kids is Ignatius Thistlewhite, who goes by Iggy for short. Yeah, I definitely think I'll be using the nickname. Iggy and his friends said that they don't believe in Santa because that's baby stuff. Then Vixen gets taken away by a dog catcher and they chase after them. Santa has arrived in town and decides to pay Iggy a visit at his home.
Hi there, little fella. Can you spare a moment?
Okay, that was creepy. Hey, Santa, you're coming off as a kidnapper right now. Iggy doesn't seem to notice the red flag, though, and asks for his name.
What's yours?
Claus.
Again, you're acting like a kidnapper. I don't think Iggy was ever told about stranger danger, though, because he just keeps talking to him. Santa sneezes, which Iggy's mom hears. She invites him inside so she can give him something for his cold. This is one trusting family. He asks Iggy if he's seen Jingle and Jangle. He says that he has, and they were asking him if he believed in Santa, to which he of course replied, no way. Iggy's dad is like, hey, I believe. Then Iggy asks Mr. Claus if he believes in Santa. He responds by singing, I believe in Santa Claus.
I believe in Santa Claus.
Iggy's dad joins in and sings about how when he was a kid, he saw Santa.
So you're too old for Santa Claus.
Can you imagine how scary it would be to wake up in the middle of the night to find Santa standing in your room in the dark singing, oh, so you're too old for me. They all sit around the table and sing. Well, except for the mom. She's just kind of sitting there awkwardly swaying to the music. The song was so touching that Iggy sheds a few tears. After he's recovered, he tells Santa that Jingle and Jangle's dog was taken by the catcher. Santa runs out of the house and takes off on Dasher to go and save Vixen. Once again, you're getting around pretty good right now, Santa. Anyway, Iggy's family is like, oh my god, that was really Santa. Iggy realizes that Vixen probably isn't a dog, but a reindeer. He says that he wishes he could help, and his dad tells him that he should go see the mayor, explain the situation, and ask for help. Yes, son. You go to the mayor and explain to him that Santa is real and his reindeer is in the pound. And no, I will not go with you. Do it yourself. Iggy meets up with Jingle and Jangle and they ask the mayor for help. He laughs at them and doesn't believe their story. He says the only way that he'll believe them and release Vixen is if they can use some of their Santa magic to make it snow in Southtown. But that's not one of Santa's powers. He can't make it snow. The mayor laughs them out of the room, clearly not believing a word they just said. But then he starts running around singing about how excited he is that it's going to snow.
It's gonna snow, ho, ho, right here in Dixie.
I thought you didn't believe them. Why are you running around saying it's going to snow? At the dog pound, Santa pays the fine and Vixen is released. So obviously Santa needs money to pay the fine, right? Well, I've been wondering, who pays Santa? Where does he get money from? Santa takes Vixen home, but the elves and Iggy don't know this. They still think they need to make it snow, so they call Mrs. Claus for help. She arrives in a sleigh that's being pulled by a full-grown reindeer. Why isn't this how she sent Jingle and Jangle? They wouldn't be having any of these problems right now if she just gave them the sleigh instead of the baby reindeer. Mrs. Claus knows exactly who they need to see in order to make it snow in Southtown, and that is Snow Miser. Yes! Finally, we have reached the best section of the movie.
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
They ask Snow Miser if he can make it snow in Southtown for just one day, but he says that's his brother, the Heat Miser's territory, so they'll have to ask him for permission first. Well, if you insist.
I'm Mr. Green Christmas. I'm Mr. Sun.
Heat Miser says that he'll let it snow in Southtown if he can make it warm for a day in the North Pole. Snow Miser says no, and they start arguing. Mrs. Claus decides to go over their heads and talk to their mom, Mother Nature. She makes the boys agree to the deal, so for one day it'll be winter in Southtown and spring in the North Pole. Hold on a minute. Didn't we already establish that warm weather is really bad for the reindeer? This is starting to sound like a terrible idea. It starts to snow and the mayor is like, oh my god, those guys were telling the truth. I do not get this guy. You go from not believing them to running around saying it's going to snow to then apparently doubting them again until it does snow. So I don't know what changed, but for some reason now all the kids believe in Santa again and decide that he deserves a holiday. Do not fall for it, kids. He's lying. They all send cards and gifts to him so he can have a Merry Christmas. One day, Santa wanders outside while making weird noises.
Well, look, here's...
He receives a letter from a little girl who says she'll have a blue Christmas this year, and she'll be so sad without him. I love how all the kids are being so selfless and kind and sending Santa gifts, but then this one girl is like, no, I want the presents. Santa, please. I need you. You have to come. Her letter works though, because now Santa feels so loved that he's decided that he will be delivering gifts this year.
A holiday? Nonsense!
Okay, geez, Santa, no need to be so aggressive. He tells everyone that he feels fine now and he'll be going out this year.
But what about your gout?
And the crick in your spine.
And your aches?
Oh, my back feels fine. Never felt younger. Haven't got a symptom.
Oh, yeah. How convenient. You can't fool me, you phony. I guess they were so thrilled by the snow in Southtown that they renamed one of their streets Santa Claus Lane, and he rides down it as the song plays. Oh, but make no mistake, it's not actually Christmas Eve yet. This is just a joyride that Santa is going on. When Christmas Eve finally does arrive, they play the song from the beginning again, but change the lyrics to, "There will be no year without a Santa Claus."
I dreamed unhappy things.
Are you sure you're not depressed, Santa? The movie ends with him riding off in his sleigh. The end. And that is The Year Without a Santa Claus, a Christmas classic that is actually really boring. Nothing really happens in it. I mean, the main conflict with Vixen drags on forever, despite the fact that Santa saved her pretty early on. Seriously, the only entertaining part of this movie is the Miser Brothers and their banger songs. I mean it. If they weren't in it, I would not watch this movie every year. But they are, so I do watch it. That way I can get my yearly fix of the Miser Brothers. And if I'm going to watch it, I might as well make it fun by overanalyzing every second of it, like we did today. For real though, the movie is so much more entertaining when you watch it this way. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this festive Christmassy video. Maybe I can do one on different Christmas movies every year and we can make a little tradition out of it. If you did like the video, like and subscribe to see more content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and whatever you celebrate, happy holidays. And with that, I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Well, look, here's...